Hey, my YouTube friends. Let's speak today about a missing person, another missing person. In this case, it's very, for lack of a better term, interesting. I really don't like to use the word interesting in the cases, but this is a very interesting case, and I will get to the reasons why it's interesting in just a minute. 24-year-old Arizona geologist Daniel Robinson, he was last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona on June the 23rd of this year. And it's been reported that Daniel, he was at the work site for a very, very brief amount of time. So, approximately 15 minutes. That morning, he was at the job site and then he left, and he has not been seen or heard from since. Almost 1 month later, on July the 11th, Daniel's Jeep was found. The Jeep was flipped on its side at the bottom of a ravine, and it was found by a rancher. Now, Daniel's wallet and his phone were found inside the Jeep, but there was no sign of Daniel. So here's a few things that are being said about the case. Daniel's case, it's getting a little bit of attention, but I've still not really seen it in just the main media, just not a lot of awareness being brought on the case. And from what is being said, the reason this case, and again, I'm not saying this is what's being said, but they're saying Daniel is not getting as much awareness as he should be getting because he's a person of color, and that they don't receive as much coverage as a Caucasian person would, and more so a white female. And they do reference Gabby Petito's case when they make this statement. And it's stated in the Buckeye police report that Daniel, he met a woman named Caitlin while he was working for Instacart. And I'm going to read you some of the texts that are noted in the report. So I'm very anxious to get your thoughts on this. His behavior with Caitlin, and her last name is redacted, but I just want to hear your opinions on it. I think this female may play an important role, and I'm not saying that, she has did something to Daniel. I'm not saying that at all. I'm speaking more in the direction of mental health. But let's read some of the text between her and Daniel and some of the things that Daniel did. So again, they met through Instacart. Her and her friend placed a delivery order. Daniel delivered, I think they said it was liquor that he delivered, and they invited him in and exchanged numbers. And it does say on June 22nd, the day before Daniel was last seen, Daniel wrote his final message to Caitlin, and it reads, quote, "The world can get better, but I'll have to take all the time I can, or we can, whatever to name it. I'll either see you again or never see you again," unquote. On June 20th, he told Caitlin that he loved her, but she did not directly respond to the message. And Caitlin said she believed that Daniel was a nice person, but she said that she and her female friend asked Daniel if he wanted to hang out with them that day that he delivered her Instacart order. And she said that they were drunk, that her and her friend were drunk, and that looking back on the situation, she should not have invited a complete stranger into her home. And she also said that she thought Daniel was, quote, harmless as he only had one arm and was short in height, unquote. And but her and Daniel, they exchanged numbers, but Caitlin insists that's it. Nothing else happened between her and Daniel. So within a week, Daniel arrived at Caitlin's house unannounced and with only a brief exchange of messages between them. So they really had not communicated a lot. And then he just shows up at her house, and Daniel texts Caitlin, quote, I couldn't stop thinking about you. And again, on June 20th, he sent the I love you message that she tried to rebuff. And she sent a message to him saying, quote, honestly, you showing up at my house unannounced made me extremely uncomfortable. I don't see us hanging out anytime soon. And then the next day, he turned up at her house again. And Caitlin sent him a message. This isn't normal nor acceptable. If someone has expressed that you've made them uncomfortable, you need to back off. And then Daniel says, do you hate me? And Caitlin replies, I don't hate you, but please leave me alone. And so it took about 15 hours, and Daniel, he responded back with that final text that I read you earlier to Caitlin. But it says that police were so alarmed at Daniel's messages to Caitlin because he barely knew her. So they advised Caitlin about the stalker laws. One of Daniel's coworkers also spoke out, a Roger Pretzman, and he said that he was also concerned about Daniel. He said that he knew something was wrong. He said that when he asked Daniel what was bothering him, that Daniel replied, what if there was a girl you liked, but you couldn't have? So again, he just, I guess that was not something typical, so he was a bit concerned. Now, David, and that is Daniel's father, he told the police that his son had mentioned being in love with a female that he didn't really know anything about. And the friends and the family co-workers listed in the police report, they told one of the investigators that Daniel was not, he wasn't speaking about self-harming. So his father, he's saying that he is still convinced that his son is out there somewhere. He says that he has faith and he really believes that he'll have his son back alive. Investigator Jeff McGrath, he does not believe that Daniel was in his Jeep when it flipped over. Now, Jeff McGrath, he pointed out that the vehicle had 11 additional miles on it from when the airbags deployed, and it had 46 additional ignition cycles on it after the airbags deployed. He also said there was paint on the vehicle that could not be attributed to the place that it was found. So, again, just another strange turn in this case. But fact is, it's still remaining. Where is Daniel Robinson? No one's seen him or heard from him and since June the 23rd. If anyone has any information as to the whereabouts of Daniel Robinson, you are urged to call 803-200-7994 or 623-349-6400. You can also visit the website pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. And as always, thank you all for watching.